Today I'm joined by a man who doesn't just build brands, he builds global phenomena. As a co-founder of the Pandora jewelry empire, he helped to scale a family business into a multi-billion-dollar household name recognized by 98% of women worldwide. He played a crucial role in scaling the business to over $5 billion in revenue with global recognition. He's an entrepreneur who operates on a different frequency, driven by an outwork everyone mentality and a relentless pursuit of justice in his current billion-dollar legal battle. Known for his work ethic and a refusal to ever back down, he's one of the most polarizing and successful business in Danish business history. His name is Jesper Nielsen. The video from the first 20 minutes got corrupted that you're about to watch, but you can listen to it on Spotify. Please enjoy it and let us know in the comments who should we bring on the podcast next.
That Pandora developed so well and is now such a mainstream global brand that every woman every Croatian woman for sure would know it, and that
Yeah.
yeah, that is crazy. Yeah, it's also in Venezuela or in Australia and South Korea and everywhere.
In
Of
Croatia
course,
is the number one bracelet
I think
just because
I
you
think
can
so.
buy the little charms and add to it. It's
They love it
amazing.
down there.
Yeah.
And Slavic women and jewelry is a good combination. Yeah,
It's a
and
good combination. Yeah.
and
Yeah.
that's actually how we decide to go about it. That we just spread it to the whole world. And what my job was in Pandora, because I was not the founder of it. The founder of it was Mr. Enevoldsen, a Danish guy. He created that in Denmark back in 2000, 2001, and I met him there. And my job was to take it out in the world. I had to take this Danish brands, like there has been 1,000 Danish brands before that wanted to go international. But my job was to bring it out to the world. And I started in Germany, and then we made it work in Germany in the first 2, 3 years, 4 years. And then we started spread it, to every country in the whole world. So it's actually, Pandora is not made in Denmark. The brand is established and founded in Denmark, but it's made out of Germany, one of the biggest jewelry markets in the world. Of course,
It's
otherwise you can't
the
do it.
same like Apple. It's made in California, but it's not assembled in California.
No. And the same, we have two similar stories actually that we always talk. The one story is about McDonald's. Did you see the movie The Founder by
Yes.
McDonald's? Otherwise, and there you
Great
see it
movie.
was not the McDonald's brothers who did it. It was Ray Kroc that is the reason why you and I go to McDonald's with our kids. And because he created that franchise model and took it out of these two restaurants that these brothers had, and they were fighting it. And I had the similar story because the old founder of Pandora, he was fighting it all. He's an old nature thinking. He didn't want to make his own store. He didn't want to do all these commercials. He didn't want to go to the key accounts. Because his whole life for 30 years has been doing business with jewelry and goldsmith. So that was, he didn't even understand this brand perspective where you reach the mass people instead of just, the people who goes to a jewelry store. Because most women, young women for sure not, they don't go to the jewelry store. Only for bridal or for changing the battery in the watch or whatever. Yeah. But
Yeah.
that was a big battle I had inside it, and I had to do it for my own money because he didn't want to support it. But then of course, when I started showing the results of how the stores were running, how the key accounts were, of course, we completely switched the strategy. And he basically stayed in Thailand producing jewelry. That was his job. So he ran the factories in Thailand, and I sold the shit, so to speak, yeah, and created that brand. He never visited a Pandora store, I think, in his life, to be quite honest. He don't
Yeah.
even know
I mean,
he don't even know what I did. And
that's
another
amazing.
similar story, Victor, is Red Bull. Because Red Bull was actually, people think that it's made by Matetic from Austria, of course, which it also is, but it's actually made by a Thai guy who created
Oh,
that product back in the old days. Yeah,
yeah, I
and
tasted the original Red Bull in the glass
I
bottle.
thought it was a fake the first time I tried. I said, "What the hell? Why they have these brown medicine bottles here?" When I came
Yeah,
as a young
exactly.
man
Yeah.
to Thailand, yeah. And then I said, "Well, it doesn't have any." It was so strong, also, and it didn't have. But then, of course, I read the story and found out that Mateschitz, he saw it on the travel to Thailand. And then he asked the old Thailand man who didn't know anything about anything if he could sell this in the whole world for him. And the rest is story, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's the similar stories that we have to Pandora, yeah. And if you ask people in the jewelry industry, they know me. They don't know who Mr. Enevoldsen is. And the same goes for the country we come from Denmark. I'm a very, very, in many ways, a very, everybody knows me. We can't say famous about business people because then we sound like rock stars. But everybody knows me, and when I'm out in Denmark going to a restaurant, people comes and wants to have pictures with me, like a football player. And that is, of course, how it is when you do things like this. And nobody, of course, knows Mr. Enevoldsen,
I mean,
the actual founder of Pandora. Yeah,
yeah, and the two
so
biggest brands are Pandora and Lego
yeah.
from Denmark, right?
And you also know, Big Chad, another interesting thing about that is that the smallest country in the world to have produced a global brand is Denmark, because you don't have any from Croatia, and you're 4 million people, I think. Yeah,
I mean, we do have
you don't,
one, which
you
is
don't.
Rimac, the automobile, like the electric car.
Yeah, but they're not top 100 global brand. Far from.
Yeah,
They are not
not at the
even.
moment.
They're not even. Now I say something hard to Rimas. I know them. They're not even top 1,000 brand. And that's just so you have to understand how to get the Tesla as, of course, a top 100 a global brand. But if you ask 100 people in the streets in Amsterdam, how many of them would know Rimas and how many of them would know Tesla? You know the answer. It's going to be
And
96 to 2.
and I I just wanted to be mindful of your time. How are you limited to an hour?
No, and I don't have. I'm finished for today. So
Okay,
right where I am here now, I'm in the UAE at 6 o'clock. So I finished the day. So we could basically talk all night if you have something interesting to tell me about the Croatian handball players or something interesting you would tell me about afterwards. I love to hear that. I love
okay,
Croatia, of course, because of your skills in team sports are phenomenal.
yeah, we're.
Whether it's football, handball, basketball, you are 4 million people, phenomenal.
I mean, in handball, one of our greatest rivals was Denmark, and I had like
Always.
a few Danish friends, and we watched the game together, and that was quite intense, so to speak.
Because
But
you
great,
you fight
both are
quite a
great.
lot, you Balkan boys there. Yeah, you are tough fighters, the Balkan boys.
Yeah, yeah,
And
exactly.
you're better than Serbia. You're better. You're the best country from that region when it comes to handball. Um, I actually I used to run handball clubs. That's why I know so much about handball, of course. And I was running a German team at a time, Bundesliga, one of the top 3 teams down there called Rhein-Neckar Löwen, which is a very good team. And I had a Croatian player for quite some years. He was a character, uh, Kubic. That
Ah,
was a crazy guy. Yeah,
crazy guy. Yeah,
the little man,
he played wing,
right wing,
right
without a
wing. Yeah,
finger. He lost his finger. It was crazy.
yeah.
But he was a funny guy, Ivan Čupić. He was a really, really good player. Very fast, very efficient, very focused. Not so serious. He was not like the Scandinavians or the Germans, like machines. He was more like not training so hard as the other guys, but he was a nature talent. And then I almost found another guy once, but we flunked it just at the end. The keeper Mirko Alilovic was
Halilovic.
also a
Yeah,
fantastic, very good keeper, very very good
goalkeeper.
keeper.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I've been in that way. I've been into, and I know some of the Croatian agents as well for the handball players because they often went to the Bundesliga when they were good, of course. Yeah. So that's why I followed the handball very close, and also the Croatian sports, of course, your football teams, of course, because you have had some of the best players in the world in the last couple of years. Yeah,
we had.
and of course,
We'll we'll see how the new generation performs now at the World Cup because quite a few have come in new fresh players.
yeah. But I think you're not gonna win, but you're gonna do
Yeah,
a good figure. You always do. But of course, you're in the transition from Modric and Brozovic and these guys to the new guys. That is the transition time for the Croatian national team right now. After having so strong players in the team, yeah, you will not reach the final again. I can promise you that.
yeah, it's gonna be really tough, really tough.
Yeah, but it's play for. At least we didn't even qualify Denmark this time, you know, and we normally always qualify, but not this time. We fucked it. We lost
Oh,
against
really?
Belarus, and yeah, we fucked. We're always there, you know. We have a good team, but and we really have a good team also this time, but they have a terrible trainer, so they fucked it up. Really fucked. They had so many chances to qualify. They had once they only had to beat Belarus at home. They didn't do it. Then they went to I think Scotland and just had to draw and they lost. And then they had to play, was it Ireland at the end or something like this in the knockoff, and it was we lost with one goal I think or something like that. It was terrible.
Yeah.
It was not meant for us to be a part of that.
Better luck next time.
Let's go
I
into it.
mean, the players have to really want it.
Exactly. And that, you know, sport today, I always talk a lot about sport because I was running my sports team. I also had a football team in Denmark for quite some time. Yeah. And it's about being willing to die on the pitch, you know. And if you're not willing to die on the pitch, you're not going to win. And that's why I love to bring it back to my business world, because there's so many things you can take from the business world into the sports worlds. Not, of course, commercial wise, a completely other business model, but the willingness to win is also very much, you know, and that the athletes is extreme because you're going to be punished the second you don't want to win. But in business, you know, we have a little bit of sloppy. You don't have to work too hard. And then, I come from Denmark. Then I have to listen to this shit all the time about work-life balance. I'm going to throw up, yeah. And
Yeah.
we also have a work-life balance. We also have to think about we can pick up our kids at 3 o'clock. You can,
I
but you'll
don't
never
think
get any money.
work-life balance exists at all.
No. You think we made Pandora out of work-life balance? Not really. I lived
Not
3 years
really.
in
Yeah.
my car in Germany. I had a van and I put a mattress at the back and I lived there for 3 years when I was selling Pandora in the beginning. That was how I started. You know, that was not much work-life balance. And I promise you, I have 5 kids, yeah, but I do not candidate to be father of the year at any time. I am not a candidate for that. I'm a father, but I'm not father of the year.
Yeah. That's why you built something great,
I
exceptional.
changed the I changed the world in other places, court systems, laws, everything. I do other things because my passion and my dedication is so tough when I go into something. And of course, I'm a good father. I talk to my kids every day. I provide, I take care, do all the things you have to do. But I also have the right not to sit and do diggy, 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 diggy when they're 3 months old. I don't want to do that. That's not for me. And when I can go out and create 2,000 people getting a job, why should I sit home and do diggy, diggy, diggy? I have a gift, I always say, and I have an obligation to use it.
Exactly. I love how you put it. You have a gift and you have the obligation to use it.
I think it's better that I do this. Then we can get some other ones to sit and do diggy, diggy, diggy with the babies, you know, because they can't go out and create a new business and get 2,000 people to work for you or whatever. Now it's I think in Pandora now in total there's like maybe 37,000 people working because I slept in my car in Germany for 3 years, you know, and that is the price that needs to be paid. There is no, if you want to make companies that size, there is no easy way to do it. No, it's not possible. Maybe you can make a nice little company in your little city with 12 employees, live a good, happy life, go home, make a weekend, but you're not going to make a global brand if you are anyway addicted to work-life balance. That is never going to happen. It's never, because you know, it is the product. You have to be lucky. There's many things because, of course, Pandora is at an extreme that you can't imagine. But to make a business that is really successful, I say, a business that exceeds 100 million euro, that is no work-life balance for these persons whatsoever, because the competition is simply too hard, you know. And you know, you come from the investment world. And you know, you invest in people, not in spreadsheets, basically, when you do your
Exactly.
investment. Okay? And that is, you look at the guy, you look at the team, and then the spreadsheets, they tell us a story of the picture right now. But you look at these people and say, do I believe he's going to do it? What is he going to do the first time he hits the fan? You know, is he going to stand up again and put it and make it happen? Or is he going to lay down and cry like a little baby? And what
Exactly.
happens when he gets his first 10 million in his account? Is he going to go to Ibiza and buy tables and drink champagne and whatever? Or is he just going to get more hungry because he also wants to get to the 100? That is when I now invest in people, that's what I look at. Well, what is his objective with this? What is it that he wants to create? And when I was a young man, I didn't know I was so crazy. You know, I just thought everybody was like that. Uh, but of course, they were not like went completely crazy when they had the chance. And in my company, Pandora, I was the only one. The other ones, they say after we had got it to be a little bit, let's stop now. It's fine. We have enough for the rest of our lives. Let's have some good times. Let's play some golf and let's have a
Yeah.
good life for ourselves. And I looked at them and said, I didn't understand the language they were talking in. I didn't understand what you're talking about. Why should we why should we open up a new market now? We have enough. No, I said, we can do it. Let's do it. Let's change the whole world. Let's get every woman in the world to know about Pandora. Once, I always said, after 3 years, I basically make the business plan for that's not Emma, the one that we follow. It's two simple things. We need to get every woman in the world to know about Pandora. Rule number one. Rule number two, they have to have access to buy it. Very simple. And if we can make that happen, because we found out very fast that 50% of the women, we tested many small focus groups with 10 girls. We also had one in Croatia once, in Zagreb. We had the focus group and we asked the Croatian women, they come in 10 women from, I don't know how they find them, normal women. One is sitting in the register in the supermarket. The other one is working as a secretary, as a lawyer, normal women. And we sit down, we explain it to them, what is Pandora? And then we ask them, how do you think? What do you think? How do you like it? And it was always 4 to 6, 5 that says, we like it. And when you explain this with the small charms and all this. And then I said, it's very simple. I think it's going to be the same when we go to South Korea. I think it's going to be the same when we go to Colombia. So we only have one job now, that we will make half of the women in the world buy Pandora. And then we sat down and calculated how much can we make. And I said, now
And
we have to go. Now we have to go. Because now it's
and
very simple. 2 jobs. They have to get to know it. Secondly, they have to have the access to buy it.
and
Not difficult business plan, yeah?
it's not a difficult business plan, but it's genius on this end, because when people travel to different countries and they go to Pandora, they can get a charm as a memory for that country. And it can be one
Clever.
bracelet for like a memory of when they travel the whole entire world. It's really genius, in my opinion.
Unforgettable moments, new child, new dinner, kind of film. Can you follow me? It's so well made. It is a product that is so brilliant thought out, because it gives repeat sales nonstop 18 times. So you just have to sell the bracelet. And from there on, they're going to come and they're going to fill it up in approximately 36 months. They're going to fill up this bracelet.
Do you
So
know
of
how many
course,
charms can fit in one bracelet?
between 18 and 22, but they buy 18, and most of them, you don't, after they had it for 2, 3, 4 years, it's full, and they will keep wearing it for the rest of their lives. Yeah.
Exactly, yeah.
It's, the material, it will never go away. They can die with it on it, because it's silver. It's not rubber or alloy or iron. It's a product that will last forever. So it also has a high value as a product, and it's cheap. Sorry to say, we can say it here, we don't like to use the word cheap. We can say affordable, but it is not expensive. It is inexpensive. It's charm bracelet is €59, and the charms will come from 24, €25 upwards. So we're not killing anybody by doing this. They don't have to leave their house and homes or anything for buying a Pandora thing. That was also what made us so successful. I think that it was not so expensive. And it was the first time ever where I added the most brilliant thing to the concept was the branding. That I actually decided that people, we didn't invent that bracelet. It was another company from Denmark who invented the product. We just basically took our variation of it, but we didn't invent it. But what I said, I wanted to own that sector. So when the women around the world, they see this bracelet, they should not say, "Oh, what a nice bracelet." They should say, "Ah, very nice Pandora you have." So we changed it from being a bracelet into the name Pandora. That was the brilliant part. I didn't really know what I was doing. I was a young man. I hadn't read any marketing. I just think that would be a good idea, that they said that instead of, the bracelet. And a lot of it was done, it's on instinct. It was not like I made a big business plan behind it. I just got up in the morning and I never did. I don't do meetings, normally. I don't do it because I'm always accessible for my people to when they have a problem or something. They can just normally we don't build rockets, so it's not difficult to run a jewelry business like that. It's not very complicated. If people
Yeah.
wants to work hard, it's easy. So what I just did was that I made myself accessible 24 hours, not telephone calls, because I can only have it's a waste of time. It's too much time talking in these telephone calls. They weren't working. I said, you can text me or you can mail me and I'll answer you right away. Because if I don't answer you, I stop the process of that one that you're sitting in. If I just have to say yes or no. And I made some rules. You cannot send a mail to me that goes beyond 10 lines. And in 10 lines, there has to be the suggestion of the answer I have to give. And then I just have to go. And then it's incredible how much you can achieve a day if you really work efficiently. Because what I needed in my whole time, I needed not to have any daily jobs at all. I never went to the office. I didn't have a room in the office. I didn't have a title. I had a CEO, I had a CM, all these nights, but I never had a title myself because I was just running the company. I didn't have because I worked on what was going on. So I was running out around the customers, the sales guys to find out what's going on. Yeah. What's happening here right now? Because normally you can build a company from the back. I made a model where I built it from the front. So, facing the customer. So every decision I made backwards was made in order to satisfy the customer. And not what is convenient for the man sitting in the other. When they say, oh, it's going to be a little bit complicated when you want to do it like this, Jesper. I said, wrong answer. We're not here to be convenient. We're not here to have an easy life. We're here to satisfy our customers. Uh, and one of the things is that one of the reasons in the beginning we succeeded was that I'm very generous by nature. I don't take it for myself. I give it away to the football club, to the handball club, to the tax authorities, to UNICEF, to all kind of. I pay high commissions, high salaries, because I believe in the bigger purpose of the journey that we're on all the time. So whether I do 28.2% EBITDA or 21.4, I don't care. We move. It's not important. We have to be profitable, of course. We're not here for fun. But one of the tricks I used when I started off with these independent sales reps around the world was that I always gave them the highest commissions in the business. So normally in Germany they always pay 10% to the commissions to the sales reps around all Germany. It's a big country, yeah. So I had 17 of them, but I paid 15.
Yeah.
And suddenly they didn't want to they didn't want to go with the other companies. They want to go with me
And that's one
because
of the keys that
15%.
make it successful.
Of course, it's called
Yeah.
empathy. I said you have to make people be attracted to what you're doing. So that's of course always one of the very simple business skills I use is to give high salaries, high commissions, and as little fixed as possible because we live from performances, not from being cozy, convenient animals sitting on a chair receiving our salary and we get them no matter if we perform or not. I always say, then go and work in the government. Then don't work for me. Because here's serious business, but you can make as much money as you want. I have no problems. You making 500,000 in commissions a year, because if you make 500,000 for 15%, I still have a product that makes 70% profit. I get 55% in the pockets of. I win every time. But then many, they're thinking of making the greedy spreadsheets and all this. I don't do it. I have to find a way so that the people actually wants to do it for me and want to run like crazy. And then when they want to do it, I have to give them all the possible, tools, tools, um, conditions so they can succeed when they're with the customer. Give them the right payment plan, give the customer the right profit, give them enough marketing contribution, all these kind of things that I give. So when he was sitting there, it was very difficult for the customer to say no, because you have to eliminate the no's in every contract situation, in every sales situation. You have to find out, why would this guy say no? No, it's too expensive. My margin is too low. The payment terms are too tough. There's many things where he's just looking every person on the other side when you're selling something is just looking for the reason to say no. So you have to take up everything, all the reasons why he needs to say yes, jing, 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 jing. And of course, I found out that when I was driving myself selling jewelry, I say, what is it that makes the German jewelry guy say no? Yeah, payment terms, if it's normally in the business is for 30 days, we make 60. Ah, okay.
Yeah.
If marketing contribution was maximum 500 euro, we make maximum 1500 euro, you know? And then when I did that, I had to go back and make my business work. You understand? Because then I have to say, okay, I have to get that kind of financing to make this happen. I have to get that kind of product, profit on the product to make that happen. But it's the reverse way of doing it, you understand? Because first you
Yeah.
have to find out what would it take for the customer to say yes. And then we have to go back and find out how can we structure it from our end of the game. And I learned that also in some of my projects when I didn't do that calculation right from the beginning, they break.
Yeah.
And that's your
It's
responsibility as a business owner.
I was working with a brand on TikTok Shop, and now they're the number one health brand supplement on TikTok Shop. And what they did is they gave the creators who were filming videos of the product on TikTok Shop the highest commission you can give to the creator. And they were barely breaking even for the first 6 months. And they got so well known that the profit came after the last 6 months on the next product that they introduced. So they were playing the long game, and then now they're number one. And
It's
many
it's
many
it's
other
brilliant
brands.
strategy, yeah.
Yeah, it's a great strategy.
Because
You
the
have to
creators,
sacrifice the
they
short
need the
term to
commission.
win in the long run.
Yeah, they got famous
Yeah.
by accepting that a part of their marketing was to give a high commission. And that is of course a brilliant, the same I go with my affiliates now. They can get up to 50%,
Wow.
and that's I learned that from the Tate brothers as well. So they are gonna work like crazy because I look at the end target for my new project now because the first time since Pandora, I'm building a brand that can potentially reach, everybody. Uh, so I'm very motivated when I see no limits. I made a very famous speech in Pandora back in 2007 for all our distributors that just started up and said, "You are very lucky. You are entering a holy place here with us because you are all going to be very, very wealthy and you're going to be able to give your people and your family a beautiful life in the future if you just do exactly what I tell you now." And I was standing out there, 5 into it with my big Aston Martin and the big house here and, private jet, everything, And I said, and was just like you 5, 6 years ago when I was going to Germany, and there was the guy from Spain, from UK, from everywhere, and they were sitting there looking, and then let's see, and it is actually very very interesting in these situations when you have that where you have to make that happen is in the beginning of a journey to do these things and make it then famous, and later on you will then take in the profits of it. So that is of course where we of course came to the conclusion that is where we have to do these things. And what I said, where our journey is going to end, what I got very famous for, everybody was laughing at that for many many years, was that I said we will probably in 15 to 20 years our going forward growth will stop, and our only hope now is that they will find life on other planets because then we can continue. And now Elon, he's doing it. He's trying to, because otherwise, when we are now where we are with Pandora, we actually, fulfilled our mission. They did it after I left as well. Now every woman on this planet, 4.4 billion, they estimate in the world, knows the brand. So of course that is extreme numbers. That is unbelievable for a little Danish boy. I hadn't had that dream when we started. Of course, I wouldn't know that it would end there. But after some years, I could see that how simple our job was to make it happen. and how we could scale it, and how I just fueled it nonstop, this progress to make this happen. And that's of course where I have my really strength of an entrepreneur, is in the first 100 meter to really get something up and running, and then afterwards to fuel it nonstop with energy and make it grow really fast at a scale that has never seen before. You were also in your questions talking about my other projects like Endless Jewelry. That was the most fast growing jewelry company ever in the world, because it came directly in the slipstream of me leaving Pandora. And as I said, I was known for being the thriving generator behind Pandora. So when I introduced a new brand, you can imagine what happened in the industry. Yeah, people were
Yeah.
completely ballistic. The sales reps, everybody, everybody who was not at Pandora at that time who missed that train, they stepped straight onto the train with Endless. So we had a crazy rocket going. Like we made like 5,000 jewelry stores, I think, in 2 years, 2.5 years. But there I was in a very difficult personal situation, because I was squeezed completely by the tax authorities. They've frozen every asset I had at that time. So that was a very complicated time for me, um, privately. Business-wise, I was, of course, in my best position, but the problem was I needed so much money on my private side, especially to run the court cases. That was extremely expensive. But when I ended my last tax case, I spent 6.7 million euro in lawyer costs to get to the point where I got free spoken. And the problem was that they took everything I owned, because before 6.7 million for a Pandora founder would not be a problem. I'll say, I'll do it. But when they took and froze everything I owned, the tax authorities, and of course left me with no assets. So I couldn't pay for the lawyers. I had to make new money in order to pay for them. If I didn't pay that, I would lose my tax cases. It's very simple. So I was working like a maniac in order to pay them, and to pay for my families, and to pay for everything that was around, and still get money to fund the new business. So it was a very complicated situation I was in at that time. And how I financed all that was selling shares. So I made a company that very fast became with a very high valuation, and then I could fund my outside things by selling shares to the other shareholders. You follow how I did that?
Yeah. Yeah.
But that also
That's
left me in a
actually
very,
smart.
very, yeah. But that left me in a very vulnerable situation at a certain time when I got under 50%. That was a problem. And I'm very, 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 special kind of founder, because it's my way or no way. And I was now sitting around the table with 7 huge shareholders and their lawyers and advisors. And I'm crazy. I don't follow a strategy or business plan or anything. It's just like Jesper does it. We run, gut feeling. And of course, it was very problematic for them to understand how I was doing things all the time. And at the end, they fucked me. They did what you can do if you want to get rid of a crazy founder, because they already thought at that time that the company was succeeded. It succeeded already, because it did. We did 50 million and we succeeded. So they actually were starting to look at how could they strengthen each of their position as to get the most as possible on the other side, because they were already talking about listing the company and all kinds. I said, wait, we're not there yet, because we still have a long way to go. I'll tell you when we get to it. But they wanted to take their money in as
Yeah.
fast as that is how business works. And they say,
They
no,
rushed
listen.
the IPO basically.
Yeah, they were discussing at the board meetings whether we should do it in London and New York. I said, this is wrong. We have to work. I said, inside the machine, stop. I'm working like a maniac with the reps, with everybody. I don't want to hear about this now. We are still a company that just started 2.5 years ago. We are not ready for any of this, because I saw with Pandora, we IPO'd way too early, because the investors came in and they want to take their money out as fast as possible, so they can get celebrated by their investors. Say, oh, they're very good, these guys, yeah. But but then they did the dirty trick to me, that we had a valuation, I think, at 77 million euro. And they, of course, knew that I was smashed by the tax authorities, because I was in the middle of running my tax cases. Yeah. So they know that I, liquidity wise, was weak. So they decided that we make a new capital increase, but we decreased the valuation to 10 million. Nice people. Yeah.
Yeah.
That's very clever made. Yeah. Because who
Yeah.
couldn't go with them? Me. So I got completely deluded. And of course, I got not angry. I got really angry. And that was in 2015. So I sold my shares at the end. I said, I don't want to be a part of this anymore because I don't want to get taken from behind like that. That is not how we do business here in this world, you know. But I learned from all these things over my life. And then 2 years later, as you wrote, they went bankrupt. But I already left the company 2 years before. But of course, the bankrupt was always put back on me because I was the only, everybody thought, like, if something happened to Pandora in the early days, everybody would have pointed at me. Not that I was the founder or one of the major shareholders, but points at you because we only know you. So that was, I learned a lot from that. Also, how emotional investors are in the things that they're doing. What is the difference between an institutional investor that we had in Pandora and a private equity investor that I had in Endless? And Endless was trading a lot on emotions because it was these rich guys with their family office coming investing into Endless, hoping that they could make a new Pandora out of this very fast, you know. And it looked like it would be for a long time, I have to say. That it could have ended there. There hasn't been anything in the industry since that could have taken off, that took off like that. But that was only my, you know, my reputation, my access to the reps, my network. And I tried to explain the investors when they did this to me that they thought it was okay because now they could live without me because the train was already going, you know. But I said, you have no idea what one person can mean to a company, because the only reasons why the customers are in this business is because they believe that I'm going to do a new Pandora. The only reasons why the reps is following me, 250 reps are following me around the world with Endless, is because they believe in me. The only reason why all the distributors of Endless, we have 35 of them around the world, they are in this business and we got them so fast is because they are following me. The only reason why all the skilled employees that came from the Pandora organization changed to Endless was because of me. The only reason why all the suppliers for the jewelry was willing to give us such good conditions and give us such good products was because of me. And the only reason, as I said to them, that you all investors came into this business was because of me. So to remove me is not even dangerous, I said. That is suicide. So you have just lost all your money, I told them, because the only job you had was to make me happy. Because I'm the only guy, but they already thought because the numbers, I'm really good at making things look fantastic. And that can be a downside sometimes because then people think that they're much further in the business process that they actually are. And because I want to make it look good, but because I deemed down the importance of many of the challenges that we are still facing. So I remember one of the biggest investors, he called me like half a year later and asked me, is there a chance that you're going to come back? He says. I said, why? "Yeah, because we're not selling anymore." "No, you're not selling anymore. What a surprise," I said to him. "Why are you not?" But and then he asked me the question that was so crucial that I never forget. "Were you the only one selling in the company?" Yes. You can't sell for 50 million. We also have a sales manager in Europe. We have a sales manager in every country. Why are they not selling? I said, that's because I give them the right conditions, I give them the right motivation, and I give them the right fuel to go out and succeed out in each single market. Because I know what an Australian jewelry guy he would expect of profit. I know what payment terms a Spanish jewelry guy he would need to say yes to the product. But when you hire a goofy from Disneyland as a new CEO, he do not know that. Because that knowledge took me 15 years to gain in the jewelry industry. So what you basically did would have been the same as the Barcelona president would have come to. That was the time when Messi was out of this planet. Yeah, would come and say to his trainer, "I've decided to sell Messi, you know, because he missed 3 penalties last year. You know, so now we're going to sell him." So you're fucking out of your mind. He's the whole reason why everything is working here in Barcelona. He's the whole backbone of it. We just ask him which players are we going to buy, and Messi will tell us which players we should have. Well, you know, this is how it works. I don't think that Luka Modric had a little voice in the Croatian national team for many years. I think he decided quite a lot, even maybe more than the trainer did sometimes. Yeah, because this is
Exactly. Yeah.
just you have to accept. You have to accept skill, to accept knowledge. And I knew everything about you. And then they said to me when they wanted to throw me out, "Yes, but you know, you can choose your successor." But said,
Did you
doesn't matter
train
who
your
the successor.
successor? Or
Yeah, they wanted me to help them to find the successor, and I said, "You can't. Are you fucking out of your mind or what? You can't find anyone in the industry that can in any way." It's a little bit. I feel sad for the man who's going to get that job because he can only fail. He can never ever succeed because he cannot get my head. What I have learned over the last 15 years in this industry, how would he ever get to understand what is going on when the German jewelry stores they're not buying anymore? I know what's happening then. I know what's happening and I know which button I have to push. But that was the story, and very sad. And I learned, but again, very important to say, because I learned a lot, because I didn't know about these things before. How do private equity investors function on emotions? My God, it's on emotion, it's on feelings and greed. It's easier
greed.
to
Yeah,
work with a
that's what I was
spreadsheet.
about to say. Most of
Greed.
them are greedy, really greedy.
Like crazy. At least when you talk to the institutional investors, they do their homework well before they come. And they only invest in the numbers and in the person that they're standing in front of them. And then they have an interest in making happen. They don't have to polish their own ego. But these guys, they were also very successful businessmen themselves. And they thought that if I know everything about, he was one of them was the founder of the Spree clothing brand, that because you know something about clothing brand, you know something about retail, I give that to you. But I don't know anything about how the clothing industry is functioning with the collections and the productions and all this, the margins. I don't know anything, but I know every little single detail about jewelry. And that is what is this special skill. So that's why Endless became so successful and so fast growing, was the fastest jewelry brand ever in the world. And I made some brilliant things. I took Jennifer Lopez as the face of the company. So, Jennifer Lopez as the face of the company combined with the most, talented and skilled boy in the jewelry industry. That was not a bad combination of creating the new
Yeah.
super brand. So we went completely ballistic in the Americas. Yeah. Completely ballistic. We sold to 1,300 American jewelry stores. We couldn't deliver. It was crazy times. But everybody was afraid of, there was a pure FOMO, the fear of missing out. So everybody said, yes, but he's fucking gonna do it again. We had to drag along, yeah, tag along. And then when I left, everybody got a shock in the whole industry, yeah, because then they lost the trust in the company, of course. Because Jesper, they also, Jesper, he'll fix that if there's something there. Don't worry about that. The reps, Jesper fixing these things. Don't worry. We've been with him for many years. He's fixing these things. But I was, of course, in a very difficult situation because I lost my foundation of liquidity. And that was something that was very hard for me to navigate in these years. I didn't have any liquidity. And that also led me into my next project that you also talked about, the amazing project. That was there I was really pushed up in the corner because when I left Endless, they made me sign an agreement that I was not allowed to do a new jewelry company because they were afraid, of course, that the next day I will do a new one again and take all the business out of Endless. But then I
Yeah.
negotiated a little bit back and forth, and then we made an agreement that I was not allowed to work in wholesale, and I was not allowed to work online. So I only had one option left, and that was retail. Uh, so I was only allowed. But to open stores are very expensive, and it's very long term. You when you find a store, it takes you 10, 12 months to get the lease, to get it open. Costs you a lot of money up front, and maybe you're not profitable in a retail store within the first, let's say, 2, 3 years. So I invented a new model because now I was afraid to sell shares. It was also a learning curve. Now I was afraid to sell shares. So what I invented then, I started to sell licenses for the individual countries. So that meant I didn't lose any of my equity on the top of the company. So I made a program making a very nice store, making a very nice concept. It's a beautiful one that should actually still exist because it was like a modern jewelry store for the younger generation, very cool with music, like a nightclub, really cool jewelry store
It was
with
kind of like
cheaper
the
product.
McDonald's model, but for jewelry,
Yeah,
if
yeah.
I
Like I
understood
don't know
that
if you know Joe
correctly.
and
Yeah.
Joe and the Juice. You know that product, the concept.
Yes, I do.
It's a little bit like that, with cool guys standing music, and but it's wrapped in another way, and DJs on a Saturday in the shop and products then lower price than Pandora, and still real material, and then targeting a younger audience than Pandora at that time. But I managed to open up 75 stores in 35 countries before COVID hit me. Yeah, because I was not strong enough for COVID, because I
Yeah,
just
I
opened up
mean,
like
you couldn't
crazy.
pivot to online also.
No, that was very, because we were not financially stable in any way. We were growing, and I didn't take any investors in that at all. I was growing myself because I got investors through the license fees, you understand? So for instance, UK, he paid me 500,000. Okay, good. China paid me 2 million. But I had a huge organization running a company that was not really profitable yet. And then they had to pay a back fee of 10% commissions to me when they got profitable, the stores. Yeah. So the
Yeah.
idea in itself was really, really good. And it was we were selling, but time was against me again, because at the certain time I ran out of countries to sell. And that means that was the one that was feeding my liquidity to run the headquarter of 25 people, yeah, and servicing all this. And the stores were not profitable enough yet to be able to give me enough money on the monthly base, because when a store is not profitable, I could of course have been very hard to the franchisee and say you have to pay your 10% royalty anyway. But that's not a business model that will work, because that's just going to strangle him. So as long as he's not profitable, then I can't ask for the royalty. I could, but I didn't do it because that would not be fair. Because then I just the same to say kill yourself. So that was amazing, but it died, and then I sold the products and the license to a guy in China. So I think there's still 35 of them in China, called Amazing by Jesper Nielsen, but I don't have any ownership in it any longer. Um, so
And
that
the
was
other
of course.
40, are they still operating or it's just in China?
I think it's just in China now. Yeah, I still talk to him sometimes. Yeah, he asks me sometimes if I want to come when they open a store. I said, because they carry my name. Yeah, so
Yeah.
but but that's what it is. They don't know who Jesper is. Nielsen is. Maybe in 4 or 5 years with my new project, they will know who I am. Yeah, but they don't know who I am now. But of course, we also use that where we call it Amazing by Jesper Nielsen, and then the customers should explain who I was. The people working in the store to the customers say, that's actually the guy who drove Pandora to be what they are today. But people don't know that is one of the things that I'm trying to change with the resilient founder concept I do now, that in Denmark, when you say Pandora, who made that? They say, that's Jesper, they say. And if people will ask, what company did Jesper actually make, before, and every businessman of football interested or handball interested over 30 years old would say, "Oh, that Jesper, he did Pandora." Everybody knows that. But in the world, people don't know that. You didn't know it either. But the project with the Resilient Founder is to try to put my name and the Pandora brand into the same, pot, so people get to know me by using the Pandora brand and success and awareness to lift my personal brand, so to speak. So it all makes meaning for me, all the journey that I took over the years, that then I can combine that because happily for everybody, Pandora took the perfect journey for that and continued to quickly grow and increase and did a tremendous journey. But now I'm creating a global brand for myself, personal brand of connecting these two things, because nobody knows who did Pandora. You did not know it either. You actually
Yeah.
probably didn't even know it was Danish. Yeah.
No, I didn't know it was Danish, but I have no doubt that you will succeed with the new product that you make or the new project that you're just undertaking, because it's a really good strategy, and
Yeah.
I believe it will
Yeah.
work. It will work.
Yeah, we can see the numbers that we get, even for the boys who used to work with the Tate brothers. They say we have never seen anything like this before. When we start doing what we're doing, that the feedback and the resonance and the likes and the viewings take dimension that we could never have dreamed, and we're far beyond our expectations about that. What the normal algorithms for these social media channels does to you when you're new on the platforms.
Yeah,
But that's
and you
because
just
people get this with the Pandora when that's what takes people say, what? With Pandora, who the hell is this guy, And then we catch them, yeah. And then we start, you will see I have now, I think, close to 800 small clips. So Victor, you're going to be very tired of listening to me for the coming years. You probably already get me a couple of times a day now, yeah. when you open your
Yeah,
social medias. I'm there
yeah,
with the message
you
of the day.
definitely are. And you're
With
gonna
the
be
yeah,
everywhere in the next 2 years.
yeah, yeah,
Everywhere.
yeah,
Yeah,
because it is a very Pandora 4.4 billion know it. You know, it's a yeah, it's a good gift to start with, you know, and now I can it starts to make sense in my head the journey that I took by from living in my car in Germany to create this project to my tax cases. That was the biggest personal tragedy in my life. And you asked me in some of the questions that you sent to me about what are the most difficult situations in my life, and we haven't talked about them yet, but we can talk shortly about them, where it was where even the resilient founder had to give up, you know, because normally I always preach don't give up. You can own if you don't give, but sometimes you just have to give up because all your options are, you know, empty. You know, losing a company to greedy shareholders, I survived that. You know, it's not the end of the day for me. Selling my company to a Chinese businessman because of COVID, I would survive that, you know. But in two situations in my life, I was chessmate. And you also learn from that a lot when you get really put chessmate, because that means that you in the future can try to navigate out of the situation where even a perfect founder, never gives up fighter is chessmate. And the first one was in 2012 when the tax authorities took possession of all my assets. There I had to do something that I really didn't like and was very terrible, and the whole Denmark was actually injured from that because I had to close my sports teams at that time. But I simply had no choice because they took everything I possessed. So my whole foundation of running these sports teams financially, you know, responsible was taken away from me. You know, I was at that time not thinking about my sports teams. I was thinking about my kids and my family and my people closest to me that we couldn't even, you know, buy food. You know, so suddenly it was I said I have no other choice than to close my sports teams right away because sports teams can be expensive. They go like this over the seasons. I always made them, you know, in zero, but you need to balance liquidity over the years in these sports teams. And I was completely taken with their hands behind my back. I had absolutely nothing to go against because the tax authorities possessed every single asset I had. So I had no other options. And these sports teams, of course, had millions of fans, you know. So it also was a very sad situation for me. I couldn't pay the football team. Luckily, the football team survived. I couldn't pay my German handball club. Luckily, they survived because the co-owner of that was the former owner of SAP. So, of course, he stepped in and saved the shit, you know. But
yeah,
I said to him, I can't help. I used to pay like maybe 3, 4 million and to that team for the investment base. He did the same, but he saved that team. But my Danish handball team, which was my flagship, I had to close it because I was the sole runner and sole founder of that. And millions of Danish people, they got really, really, you know, disappointed and they hated me for doing that. But I was, to be quite honest, in a completely other personal situation, so I couldn't give less shit about a handball team when you can't buy food for your children, you know. So, but that's just where that's how deep you have to go before you have to give up. But there, I just have to change my priorities from trying to save a handball team to trying to save my family. This long story short, I fought for 7 years and I won both my tax cases at the end. But and when people say congratulations, yes, but that you won your tax cases, I said you can't say congratulations. I said because I lost from the first day they opened up them against me. Later on, I got an excuse from the Danish authorities. They opened up the cases against the people from the tax authorities, and but I had to go all the way to Supreme Court before they spoke me free of anything, you know. And that journey was maybe the wildest journey because the state as an opponent is extremely strong, even for a resilient founder. And for a guy of a man who made a company like Pandora, that fighting the state, I have a huge respect for that because they have tools and they have access to, you know, things that you can never dream about. And
yeah, and
I don't know, we get a little
so
bit noise and it is,
yeah, the fighting the state is one of the greatest opponents you can fight
it's crazy.
because you mentioned they have
Because
resources that we can't even imagine behind the scenes.
They are
They
so
can pull
resourceful.
strings that we don't know even existed.
Yeah, and I can confirm that because I'm an optimist. I'm a happy person. I don't want anything any bad. But the thing I happened to me with the state, that was really hard. But I had to close, and that was really sorry. But another thing that really made me very sorry is I had a certain time I worked in like in a network marketing model where we were selling jewelry through different girls around the world, working for us, very hardworking young and older girls, and that was really really a good project. But there again, I got hit by, the hardest thing you can get because I lost my case in the arbitration to Pandora in 2021. So every time I had to face that I'm chessmate, it always, ends up with something that in the beginning, something happens that at the end ends up to be something else. So it never should have happened. Like the tax authorities shouldn't have happened or shouldn't have done what they did because at the end I fought 7 years to prove them wrong. So everything they did was not right. It was done. First of all, they couldn't do it, but they did it on something that didn't even happen. They invented the demand on me, and I had to fight it all the way. And the same now goes with the things when I lost my case against Pandora in the first arbitration we had, because I couldn't prove it. And the court said, if you can't prove that they cheated you, we can't give you the money. And I didn't have any proofs. I couldn't get access to the proofs. The independent auditor couldn't get access to the proof. Pandora simply didn't want to give it to. Very good strategy. Something that I learned about court cases. One thing is to be right. Another thing is to be able to prove it. So I had to give up. And that was maybe that was even harder for me than the tax cases I lost, because that was the whole foundation from where my economy was built. So at that time, I all the credit facilities I had, all the things I had, were taken away from me at the same second I lost that case. And that led me to that I was completely, again, financially with not many assets left. And I was still losing a lot of money. I was still losing a lot of money in that business. So therefore, I still had to pour money into that business to make it run. And I didn't have it. I tried everything I could, but I was also, I got problem for the first time in my life with my health. I lost my sight because I was just smashed, for the first time in my life. I was almost about to give up because that was really hard for me to lose that case. Yeah. But again, I've seen that this time it was 70,000 people working for us that actually lost an income. So these big things that happens that I now find out afterwards was wrong, because as not many people know, of course, is that now we are back in court again with Pandora because I couldn't prove it. But I started to be a little bit religious. I got to be more and more religious, and I started to pray a lot and ask for help by the higher powers, because I think I must ask for help now in the state of my life that I'm in, whether I took a wrong path or I'm on the right path, but you just now need to show me where to go. Then he decided, the big man on top, to help me a lot. So the only reasons why we are back in court is only because of God, because he wants this to happen. So he took me by the hand and lead me to finding out what actually happened when they cheated me. And that led to that I managed over 6 months of hard work to get whistleblowers to step forward and show me the proofs that I couldn't get in the first case. So basically what happened was that the management, the people who succeeded me as the management of the company, I got them, they also left Pandora. They then showed the right documents like whistleblowers do. And suddenly I had the proofs, you understand? Because the proofs I didn't have in the first court
His
case
work.
that Pandora was fighting for me, I now had them from the management because they kept them after they left. So they could show the results were as good as we all have thought they were. But Pandora told us something else. So of course I went back, and normally everybody told me, like always, Jesper, you can't get this case opened again because it's already closed. But you can't say that to a man who creates Pandora, won 2 tax cases, built the biggest sports teams in the world. You can't say to him, you can't do it. I'm the wrong person to say that to. So I say, don't worry, I'll find a way. And now we're in 2 court cases. I say, we're not just in one, now we're in 2 court cases, because I get them both opened up, And of course, Pandora is fighting me hard because they are as strong as the state almost, They're not as bad as the state, I would say. but they are also very, very strong because they have so unlimited financials and resources. So of course they're dragging out the case. They want to fight formalities instead of substances. But let's not forget that I'm pretty trained in these processes, having to fight with the tax authorities for 7 years. So maybe they are fighting the wrong guy, because I know exactly how this has been done. And this is just about being patient. It's like keeping them here and keeping them tight because they want to get away from that. You just have to keep it. And then I always say to people how you win these cases. They come from out here. And then slowly you have to put them in here. Get it into the substance. Because the substance is, how can you have two different results in the same company? How can you have a result from where you pay bonuses to your management and you tell your shareholders, this is the profits that we make, so our share price will increase? But on the other side, you have a result to the man where you have to pay 49% of the profit that shows a deficit. How is that possible? And that is what we want the three judges to make a stand on and say, and it looks like they had a pretty big advantage by not showing me that for 10 years. Because they could, if they believed that they could have done it, they could just have shown me. And I have to say, okay. But they, of course, knew the second they would have shown me that, say, we go straight to court, my friend, because I don't see in my contract and I didn't do it. I didn't agree upon that was how you could do it, that you could remove the whole profit out and leave it somewhere else. So I don't get my money. So that's why we are back in court. But I was holding the hand by God. And again, we can come back to again that this company with the 70,000 girls, they should never have been closed because I should have won that case. It was because they were cheating. And I've learned that maybe that's the part of my life that I had to learn, that you have to fight even though you already lost. You still have to continue to fight and believe that you're right. And when I didn't believe in it any longer, I asked him once in my life, now you need to help me. And he helped me. Since that day, he held me by the hand. He showed me what to do, because after he showed it to me, he showed it to me in a post on a social media. And when I read that post, it took me 14 minutes to understand what they had done. And I was not at the social medias for 2 years. I don't know why. I asked him the night before, you have to help me now. It was the day my first grandchild was born. And that night I was sitting in a car in Germany and had to go out and sell jewelry. And I said, why do I have to sit in this car here when my first grandchild is being born? I accept my fate. I accept if I did something wrong, but now I simply need you to show me why and what did I do? Or if it's not if you have chosen a path for me because you want me to learn all these things, then now is the time where you come and help me. And then he came. And next morning, I opened up my LinkedIn, which I haven't opened up for 2 years. I don't know why the hell I opened up my LinkedIn. The first post, bang. My former CEO for Austria and Switzerland was looking for a new job. And I don't know why. I said, oh, when did he actually stop in Pandora? He stopped in 17. He was working under me, but I left and he continued. And I don't know why he did that. But in his post, on his description of his life, he decided to write exactly what kind of results he has done when he was the CEO of Austria and Switzerland. And I read these numbers and I said, that was not the numbers that they showed to us in the former court case. And of course I think, my God, what's this? It's the first time ever I see that there are other results in the company that there should have been. If I would not have read that post the day after my first grandchild was on, and I, for the first time in my life, sitting crying in my car saying, you have to help. Next morning, he did it. That's why
That's
I'm
amazing.
very religious today. Very religious. And I never worry about things, about the court case, about what's happening, because he takes me on that journey and he helps me. When we needed finance for something, he gave it to us. When we needed this, he gave it to us. He gave me the right persons in the right time. When we needed a testimony from the independent auditor, it came out of nowhere, So all the time he is helping me to get to the court that everybody said I couldn't get to. But now we are in the first court hearing on the 8th of June, just a little bit more than 1 month from now. We will go to the first court hearing. And for the first time, the witnesses will sit in front of the judges and tell how they cheated me. And that is, of course, going to be very, very, interesting. But again, it led to that I had to close my company and cause pain to so much people. When the tax authorities did what they did to me, I had to cause so much pain to so many people. And actually, it was wrong, but I had to fight a very long way to prove that what they did there was wrong. And that is a very important learning for me, where I very often ask, what is actually the purpose of my journey? And maybe the purpose of my journey is to create a global movement like Resilient Founder, where we will stop having all this walking around cheating each other, where you have to know when you cheat, Jesper, it has impact for thousands and millions of people when you're basically just trying to cheat Jesper for some money. But it has an impact on 70,000 people live there and millions in the Hamburg Club, And that is what this responsibility of cheating, we have to take that seriously. Because why do you do it? Why can the tax authorities come to the conclusion that they have to run a test case on me? That's okay if they want to test something, but they don't have to take everything I own in the period where they're running their test case on me, But they say, no, but if you're going to spend the money on something else, then we don't have it if we win the test case. Come on, but we're human beings, You're smashing, you know exactly what you do to people when you take all their possessions, all their assets, everything they own, freeze their bank accounts. They even fucking took my kids' savings accounts, yeah? We had absolutely nothing. And when you do things like this to impact other people, you have a responsibility as a human being to know what the hell it is you're doing. Because you know what situation you put other people in when you do these things. But they didn't feel like that, the tax authorities. It's a sick organization. That's also why I decided now completely to leave, the European way of thinking. Because that is not because I love the Europeans. I love my home country. I wish I could live there. But I have to protect my family for these crazy people, what they would do to you. So, of course, it's not because I don't want to pay tax, because you can imagine how much money a man like me paid in tax. I don't owe anybody anything in Denmark, for sure. It's hundreds of millions that I paid
Hundreds
in
of
tax
millions,
in
yeah.
Denmark. So I don't know. And now Pandora is the eighth largest tax contributor of the country. They pay, because I was sleeping 3 years in my car and created that business in risking everything. My house, you saw that also my mom and dad's house was in the more, everything we risked to build that company. Now they get an income tax of 200 million alone in corporate tax a year because of Pandora. And you can imagine the 500 employees working at the headquarters, what they would pay income tax, And all that happened because I went there. So I said, basically, and Danish people don't like to hear that. Basically, you shouldn't have killed me. You should have put a statue of me in front of the tax minister and say, thank you, Jesper, for doing what you've done. And it's not because I want people to work, but just respect it, Respect that I worked so hard, risk everything in order to create this company that now generates 200 million euro in tax payments to Denmark a year, plus the 200 million income tax from the people working. Come on, guys. Let's be honest. This is not fair. And then you do this to me and my family to say thank you for that. And we have not created a company in like Pandora since Lego in 1932. So maybe it is a little bit special what we did. It's not something that happens every year. We make the biggest IPO ever in the country of Denmark. And then you choose to treat me like that, treat me like a criminal. I said, I don't think that's fair, as I said. But what I learned is that you can't protect yourself from sick people. So that's, of course, also what I want to teach people with the Resilient Founder going forward, that they have to be really, really careful about what they're doing. Like I explained to you about how I created my new platform to protect myself from other people interfering in my company. That, of course, made me wise. And with all the things that I've learned over the years, and I'm still in the age where I normally would get appointed as a CEO in the company. I'm 56 years old, so I'm not old, but you can imagine what journey I've had
Yeah.
over the last 25, 30 years. And of course, I can see a big thing. As you said, yes, I will be world famous. I know it because I know what we're doing will work. No doubt about it. Because the message is strong. People will get intrigued by this and to listen to more about this. And in this way, I can try to influence the world in another direction than the direction that we are in right now. So that's a little bit what I hope should be the outcome of all the struggles and all the great things we have created. But the struggle should have been that I had to be taught a lesson that I can pass on to thousands, 100,000, millions of people to make them, more. I can't save everybody and win all court cases for everybody, as when people are writing me now all the time, oh, can you run my court case and win this for me? I can't. You can only win it yourself. But I can give you the tools and teach you how to do it. I can teach you how to scale your business. I can teach you how to start a business. I can teach you what kind of tools is it that you need in form of financing, in form of people, sales, everything. Because I did it many times, and not just small businesses, but Pandora proves enormous businesses. And that is where I hope that I, in the future, can teach a lot of people about these, very important themes. And not, I hate one of the reasons why I got pushed into this was also because when I started to get interested, I started getting all these reels and from people that should be coaches, and I hear what they're saying, they have millions of followers and they never created anything in their life. And I say,
Most
but
of them are
these people,
saying the same stuff, but in different packaging.
and it's bullshit.
Yeah.
This is not true what they're telling people. And we can't let them teach our young entrepreneurs, our young people, because it's bullshit. It's not how it is in the real world. So I got angry a little bit when I started listening. I started to watch podcasts from some of the big guys who was Homosi or something like this, different. And they were just sitting like they were fucking going to the gym 8 hours a day. And I said, you can't teach young people that they have to be 6 hours in the gym. They have to be working. Not, you have to be fit. Meaning, I go to the gym every day for 45 minutes. I'm not Olympic athlete. I don't have to do anything. And it's not because the girls are going to come because you look like an Olympic athlete. If you're a successful businessman, don't worry. There's going to be enough girls for you young boys, I tell them. It's not a problem. So take it easy. Don't sit in the 4 o'clock in the morning in an ice cold plunge to put yourself through some pain. Why the fuck should you do that? You have to work and be extreme in your work. Every day you get up, work, 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 work. Not go to the gym 6 hours, look like a fucking Greek Adonis, and sit in a cold bath. Yeah, but it's very painful to go in the cold plunge. Yeah, but you can also go to the wall and bang your head 10 times in the wall. That's also going to be painful, but you don't do it. So do things that make sense for your business. And that's what I want to teach people. I want these business gurus around the world to be taught a lesson by a real founder, by somebody who has real bullet holes, who fought the tax authorities for 7 years, who created a brand that the whole world knows. How much pain do you have to take that? Oh, you have to suffer pain. It's very hard. When I was a young guy, I was fired by my McDonald's for my job. That's not pain. That's not pain. Now I'll tell you what real pain is, my friend, here. When you fight for your family, when they take everything away from you, how do you get through that? Because I get that. I thought, and when people very often ask me, Jesper, how did you do all these things? How did you manage to get the millions I said, it's not one thing. How long time you have, my friend? Because it's 10 things you do every single day. You use the creativity of an entrepreneur. You work like a fucking maniac. You use your network all around the world to make it happen. You do hundreds of things to come to the point where I am today. And I think the time is right now for me to go out. Now I'm running the biggest arbitration case in the world. I like that. I like that. I like when it's something on stakes, not just
High stakes. High stakes.
and not just, not just like a little court case, 9 million euro or something. No, 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 no. Pandora sizes 1.3 billion. I'm asking them, and I'm gonna win because this time I got them. And they're cheaters. But you know what? These cheaters, they don't want to. They never want to confess. Well, I take your pants down. And then they try to do what the tax authorities also did nonstop, formalities, formalities, formalities. Yeah, who the fuck cares when we found out, all these things that they try, they just took all the book of formalities. They want to fight on all of them to win time, to see what's going on, blah, 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 blah. It's fine, I say. You trained a monster, just ask the tax authorities what it's like to fight Jesper. He's not stopping. And as I said to my family, I can't promise you that we will win the court cases because we're in the hands of God. But I can promise you that I'll get us there to sit in front of the judges, because that's money. Keep pushing, finding new lawyers that believes in you, all these things that you have to do all the time to get to the point where you get in front of the three judges. And these three judges, they have the competence and the authority to make a verdict that everybody has to respect. Because the tax authorities, they decided to take me all the way to the Supreme Court here. They couldn't stop themselves, They kept pushing me and my family in the hope that I would run out of money. And I couldn't finish it. Because that's how the state wins 95% of their court cases. They simply have an unlimited access to resources and just let the time run. And you die, you. But I say you took the wrong guy, my friends. Because you think the guy who made global top 100 brand, you think a guy who slept 3 years in his car to do it is going to give up. You have no idea what kind of person makes companies that size, what profiles they have, or how crazy they are. So you guys, you took the wrong guys. And the same with the private equity who cheated me here. You pick the wrong guy. And they knew it from the beginning because they tried everything they can to kill you. 24/7, 365. They attacked me in Denmark. They tried to bankrupt me. They tried to freeze my accounts all around Europe. They push every dirty trick they can to stop me from getting to the point, because the only thing they don't want is to sit in front of three judges who has the competence and the authorities to vote. And that is of course the most keep the focus on, actually, as when I said with Pandora, everybody has to know it and everybody has an access to buy it. The same, get in front of the judges. And they're going to postpone and they're going to do this and they're going to do that. And fine. I said, fine. But we're not going to stop. You will have to show us all what it is that you did to remove that profit from that company. No, but it's no. You have to say it. And the harder part about this, I tell that too, it's a little secret why it's really, really hard. It's because in the tax cases, it's you against the whole world. Because if you look at me against the tax authorities, it's only my family and me who has something out of winning. Losing is then the whole country. Even the judges sitting doing the verdicts are being paid by the people that they take the money away from now when they make the verdict to let me win my cases. So this is very, very, very difficult. And you will have to experience that the whole world is against you. The press, all friends around you, everybody you meet, you are alone. Because nobody has an advantage of you winning a court case against the state in tax but you. So I was smashed in the medias. I was called criminal. I was doing blah, blah, blah. And I remember there was a big television morning show in Denmark the day when they had to say the verdict. We don't even understand why Jesper spends so much time and energy running these cases. The state don't make mistakes like that. Bang.
But the
The
media
shock was
is
immense.
owned by the state.
Of course. Who financed the medias? Yeah, we know. So you can imagine the amount of pressure that you have towards you. And that's what I want to help people understand when they're fighting. I will put them in the room what it is that they can expect to get, not just by building big companies, because that makes huge pressure as well, because business is war. We all know that. But also in these situations that not many people have tried in their life where you fight things like that. And the same with Pandora. Pandora are running the press in Denmark as well, because it's not good for the business world of Denmark that Pandora cheated, a C25 company, one of the prides of our country. They were nothing else but small fraudsters, And that is where the whole, established business world, corporate world. So Denmark is divided now in the case Jesper against Pandora into two parts. Very high, They call me sometimes the mini Trump of Denmark, because I don't give a shit. I just go against the waves, I say the truth and I tell them the truth. So 25% of the people in Denmark, they're in favor for me. They are people running their own businesses, being squeezed by the authorities, the states, being fucked by the banks, and everything all the time. They are the fighters of the country. And they all support me. You understand? They support me. 75%, 50% of Danish people are working for the state. So they will not support me. That's not, no, we don't want a guy like that. He makes too much noise. There's always problem with this guy. Yeah, it's not me making the problem. It's fucking you who makes the problem. Not me. I behave. I behave. And then, of course, the 25% from the corporate world. They don't want me to win because that breaks the whole foundation that they're standing on. When suddenly it will come out again with a big surprise. Jesper was actually right. My fighters that I call them, they would know. And I made a miracle because I created a crowdfunding in the country. Never seen before. Crazy entrepreneur, So I say this is
Really,
going
you
to be
started
very, very expensive.
Denmark.
Yeah, because, this is going to be very expensive. So what I did was I started to talk to litigation funds, I talked to Burford. I talked to Omnibridgeway. I talked to Demina. And they started to say, this looks interesting, blah, blah, blah. And then they said, we will run the case, but we want to have 40% of the outcome. I said, out of your mind. I said, we can cap it maybe. We can cap it, I said. Let's cap it. Let's say you get 200 million euro. No, 40%. And I said, I can do, the entrepreneur gets in my head, yeah? I can do better than that. First of all, I don't want them to run my case. Because if I'm going to lose my case, it's me who's going to lose. Because I run my cases myself. I don't let lawyers run my cases. I run them myself. I let the lawyers sign the papers at the end, but I run the case. So if you want the best lawyer to fight in the world, you call me. Because I'm better than a fucking Supreme Court lawyer. Because I fight. And it's my life I fight for, when I get myself into this case. So my sister is a lawyer. People underestimate my family. So you can imagine how my sister and I was working on the tax cases. We only have one lawyer helping us in the tax cases. And he was on probation. They're standing there with the whole fucking district attorney, the whole army of lawyers. I come with a lawyer who's on probation because it's his second case, worth of 880 million Danish krones. Because I did it myself, I fucking got into as if I was a lawyer. I studied everything about how it works. I studied how can you win cases like this, blah, blah, blah. I gave it to the lawyer and he was standing reading it in the court. And I was sitting, and my sister was sitting next to her, and I was sitting there, and my mom was sitting there. And they were sitting 4 suits on the other side, Best lawyers, high paid by the state, But it didn't matter, I won. So forget all this when they say there's not enough. And you just have to know that when everybody is against you, that's when you have to be really, really strong. And the reason for my journey is, of course, I said, okay, then I got creative when these litigation funds, they said, blah, 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 blah. I said, no, I do it myself. Because anyway, I'm going to run the case myself. So I don't want some suit from London doing my case. He don't know the story. I know every single detail and aspect in this thing here. First of all, it was me who found the whistleblowers. It was me who got them out. It was me who made all that happen. So I don't want any lawyers sitting there. No, I'll do it myself. So I found 3 really good young lawyers, profile 40 years old, not from Copenhagen, because Copenhagen, that's a community of gangsters that don't want me to win because they are working for the corporate world, all of them anyway. So not the 5 big offices in Denmark. I went to the other part of the country and found 3 ambitious lawyers from smaller companies who were not afraid of Pandora, who were not afraid of the big lawyers from the big houses, They were ready to go for it,
So
And
you use your gut to pick the guys who will fight for you.
and they go with me all the way now because they became fighters as well. But what I did to finance it then was something that has never been seen before either. I'm crazy. So I'm a very much on the social medias in Denmark. Out in the world, no, but I had the most followed LinkedIn profile of my country because I am crazy. They like to see a crazy. I'm transparent and I say things that a businessman never would say normally.
It's
Not
not
about
crazy, it's
politics.
authentic.
Yeah, authentic. I go straight, no filter. I say how business is done. I'm saying it. I'm not saying anything bad about children or women or anything because I'm just a nice guy, father to 5, But when it comes to business, I'm without any filter. And people love to read things like that, of course, on the social media. And I didn't know at that time that LinkedIn was a dinosaur platform. It is. I found out later. But it's fine. I then had I had millions of views and readers and all this in my. And what I thought, I said, I know that 25% of the people in Denmark, they really think I'm a cool guy, The rest of them, they hate me. So I do a crowdfunding to finance the court case. So what I did was I went out and said, I'm going to sell 10% of the outcome of the court case. And I give them the money back 10 times if you invest with me. 8,200 Danish people did it. Great. So they bought small shares in my company, in my outcome with Pandora, and financed the whole way. That's how an entrepreneur works, That's how an entrepreneur works. Because who
Now
would
that's
ever have come
outside
up
the
with that?
box thinking.
That is a little bit outside of the box thinking, yeah? But it worked
Yeah.
brilliantly, and now I have a whole army of these fighters, because now, you see, I wrote out that the court would be the 8th of June. And we said, you can come and have a look, 542 people want to come to the courtroom. Yeah. I said, oh, we can't do that. I said, we can't sit five because they have a share in the case, you understand? So we
Yeah.
picked out 15 that will come with us, of the shareholders that will represent all of them. Yeah. But basically I have 8,200 who could sit in the courtroom, because they have a little stake. It's a stake almost down to like, they can buy in from €1,000. And they're part of the biggest court case in the world. Yeah. And then we have big investors in that, but that's also fine, But that's how we made it work, going forward, to say we will get there. And Pandora, they are fucking going crazy with this. They're saying he's a cheater. That's fraud. You can't do it. There's no court case. There is no court case, I said. Ooh. And then I put out, when they say things like this, I put up the number from the court. You can all go in and have a look. Pandora versus Casey. No. He can't win it. Let them decide that, and then they are trying to find through the media all the time people who are unhappy with the investment, but nobody is. 2 times a week I send them a newsletter, so they get all the information behind the scenes, all the script we send to the court, complete transparency to each. Even though you only invested €700, €1,000, you get the full access to follow the full case, what's going on, every writing from our lawyer, every writing from the court, I send out on a newsletter 2 times a week. Boom, boom, boom. Never done before, but that's why we have a Pandora. So I'm out of my mind. And who would have thought of that? Because everybody said, but I cannot get the money to do the fund. I said, I will find them. I will find them on the way. And now, of course, it has been fantastic ever since. And that's also what we do now with our resilient founder, that we give the people a chance to have a little part of it. Because my dream is not that when we go to the arbitration in November, December, that I have 8,000. My dream is to have 80,000 people being a part of it, or maybe one day, if they prolong it more, 800,000 people, who is on my side. Because normally in these cases, it's you against everybody. Now it's me and 8,000 people behind me. You understand? Mentally, a completely other situation, that you sitting all by yourself, the whole world wants you to lose. Suddenly you have 8,000 people. They want you to win. And they're fighting. When somebody writes something bad in Denmark about me, they get angry. They get angry. I have my warriors. Then they start writing back, you're just haters, Can you hear me? You got it?
Yep. Yeah, I got it. I
Yeah,
cut
it's
off
pretty good.
for a minute. I don't know what happened.
No, that's good. You'll be far away from each other. But you see, this is the way of thinking out of the box. Like when you create Pandora, or you want to win your tax cases, or you want to do out of the box, out of the box. And that's also what I invite people into. Say, if you have something that is insane, test me. See how I can come with a solution for that.
I'm also a little bit like that. I'm kind of like my last girlfriend called me like a delusional optimist. But you have to be if you're going like shooting for Mars, shooting for the stars. You have to be a bit like that.
You have to believe, and you have to be able to have the guts to say it. I dream about this because, as my girlfriend, she says, you always visionary everything before it even happens. So you always put yourself in a room where it already happened. You understand? So I put myself in the room where because when I do things like my resilient founder, I try to get the feeling of what is it that I want to achieve, What is it that I want to achieve? I want to achieve that everybody who's on Instagram or TikTok or Facebook, when they start scrolling, who are they going to listen to? Me. All the
Yeah.
time. Boom. Fucking tired of this guy, And first now we have 50 posting. It works well in Denmark now because 14 of them are sitting in Denmark. So Denmark is completely being bombarded now with these videos. Pandora hates it, by the way. Secondly, that's just a side effect, side price, I call it. Yeah. Secondly, yeah, but but it's really fun. They really say, "Oh, well, you can't do that. You can't." But this is how you have to do these things. Because they don't want it, of course. But you have to visionary. You have to put yourself in the room where you already feel. Because soon it's 50, and then we have the next team of 500 affiliates. Then they start to feel me out in the world. But in 2.5 months, I put in my 10,000 army. That's going to really make the whole world explode because the world is big. We have to accept that. And it's a long way around. You can post like this for 2-3 years and you still get new people into your house. But of course, I see now my social media platforms are completely exploding like crazy. I get in. Now I have a whole team sending hot messages and answering and so I will end up having a team of 50 people sitting, of course, replying and getting all the feedback from all around the world and planning and doing and all these things. But I think it's important that a guy like me and not, like many good business people around the world, but I have tried, of course, with all the different AIs and Google and all that to see if there is anybody in the world with a story like mine. There is not.
There is
There
no,
is
yeah.
no, that doesn't exist. Because having founded a global top 100 brand and being torn down, they took everything, smashed, fight 7 years to win it back, just to find out that the equity who had to pay you, they cheated you. That is pretty crazy, And now it's not a cliche, but we are recording a documentary at the moment. Comes in 3 episodes and will be shown all around the world. It's been done by a very good Danish documentary. He won many prizes, and he's been following me for the last time. And I go now right now I'm in the UAE, but next week we record the whole week in my other home place, Mallorca in Spain, and there we're going to record the last recordings because he talked to everybody. Now it's going to be 3 episodes of 1 hour. And now he's going to finalize it by interviewing me again for the last time to wrap up everything. And then, when these guys are doing their shit, it's going to be really good, yeah. So it's going to come out in November. I'm sure Pandora's going to love it. And a big surprise, do you think Pandora said yes to participate? No.
I don't think so.
No. Chickens.
Of
They don't want
course.
to sit there with me in the studio and explain to me what they did, And that's where that's what they try to do, these bad guys. And that's also what I want to teach people, that when you fight guys like this, they will use every little thing in the system, every little thing they can to try to cheat you and make you lose. And the way they make you lose is that you give up. And that is the one thing that 95% of the people, they do. But I hope that by my, making the resilient founder, I hope that maybe I can do that 15% more will continue and make this into a better world,
You are leading by example. That is important.
Yeah, I have bullet hole, poof. It is the real thing. And also in the business terms advice, I've done everything. I made IPOs. I had shareholders from equity, from institutional investors. I had been doing franchising. I've been doing online businesses. I did everything, That is what comes out of 25 years of business. And that's why, Victor, that it's me that the young guys have to listen to, and not some guys wrapping something in that he can get the AI to say for him about how hard it all is and all this. And they're filling them with bullshit. That's not how it is in the real world, how they're trying to tell these people. And they will all fail if they listen to these guys. Yeah. And that's, of course, also what I want to prevent. And we estimate that we can get up to 50 to 100 million followers on my platform over the next 5, 6, 7 years if I continue to push so hard, which I will, of course, because with my profile, it's not my target to make a platform that has 100,000 members. That's not my idea. Yeah. And already now we just only have one profile, my test profile, and the first 50 they opened up now, but they're only 10 days into their posting. But already now we have 1,000 new members a day, in the ring, as we call it, yeah. And that would
Uh,
be 360,000 a year. Can you imagine when we have 500 affiliates or 5,000 or 10,000 affiliates, what that ring would explode, because
You
we
should
take
hit
that.
1 million on each social media easily by the end of the year.
Yeah, yeah.
That's
But
what
you
I've
know, I
seen
want,
a couple of examples.
yeah. And we just have to continue to do what we do every day now, you know, like when we build businesses or when you do what you do in your life, consistency, consistency, consistency every day. And I have a great saying about that always where I say, you know, when we had to do business meetings in Pandora, you know, once a year, we gather the whole team. And I say, it's going to be a short meeting. We're going to make a party to celebrate our nice results because the strategy is pretty clear. Next year, we're going to do what we did last year. And we're just going to continue to do that every day when we get up. And let's see at the next year's meeting whether I'm going to say the same again. I hope so, because then we're doing the right thing. So let's not start to talk about to change the color of the carton or the color of the. We just do tomorrow what we did today that we also did yesterday. The same. Serve our customers, produce some jewelry, make good advertising, work hard. Come on, guys. And that's the same now with the resilient founder that we found the model. Consistency, consistency, consistency. We don't because we don't have to create more story to me. Sorry, but that's enough. That would be enough to tell for the next many years about the things that I've been through in my life, because it's not like I've been working for 2 years. I've been working for 30 years, 25 years since Pandora, yeah. So we have the product made already, basically. Now we just have to produce it and put it out to the world. And I love the bigger purpose of it, you know, to make people fight longer, to be better businessmen, to not cheat each other. Because I'm the example of you can't cheat. Because you see what they cheated me, what that happened to the sports teams. You see when they cheated, what happened to these 70,000 girls in that business, because that was a side effect. And of course, everybody looked at me as I was the bad guy, you know, which I had to live with, and that's very tough humanly, to have to live with that everybody hates you. But what could I do? You know, uh, I can't tell the tax authorities it's a very bad idea. You give me back my money. You know, doesn't work like that. They never give anything
Yeah.
back, by the way. And on the other hand, when I lost in the arbitration towards Pandora, there's nothing to do. You know, it's final. You need to produce new things in order to get a new court case going. Yeah. So I had to produce, and everybody said you can't do it. Don't say that to me. I said, that's the last words you have to say to me. You can't do it. Because then I get really, really sharp, you know, if you tell me you can't do it, Jesper. And I don't listen to that, first of all. I'm resistant. Because I basically believe I can do anything that I have to do, yeah.
It makes you want to do it more.
Yeah, it motivates me. I'm going to show
And
you that it can be done. So I'm not going to open one court case. I'm going to open two, just to show you all who said you can't do it, because the newspaper said, oh, yes, but he will get nothing out. It's just him trying to make noise again. He's an idiot, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, but the 8th of June, we are sitting in the court, my friends, whether you like it or not. And of course, it's not going to be easy, because Pandora, they have the best lawyers in the city, in the country. But I fight. You can't tell me I can't win because I just beat the state twice. So of course I'm going to win, you know. So it's a mindset thing for me, yeah. To keep pushing and keep making it happen, yeah. And that is of course also, and it goes for the same in Croatia, that you have the same issues there that we have everywhere around the world when it comes to business. People are fucking cheating each other to the right and to the left all the time, and
and
we have to do better. We have to do better.
corruption is present everywhere. And you you often say that business is about positive energy and finding the right math. When do you think the jewelry industry, when you look at it right now today, where do you see a massive lack of energy?
First of all, the jewelry industry is still growing. It's a growing business, because the endurance and the need for jewelry will never end. It can't be disrupted. You know, it can't be like the watch industry has a huge issue with the smartwatch, of course, yeah, because it really killed the whole middle segment of watches in the world. You know, they died, or they are dying now. You know, the luxury segment are still working in watches, because it's brands. You know, you buy, it's a piece of jewelry. when you buy these luxury watches. But you remember the old days, there were watches from Michael Kors, Dolce Gabbana, and all these laying for 100 to 200 euro, made in
Yeah.
China. They're dead. You don't wear them any longer. When you wear jewelry, first of all, you don't need to wear a watch any longer. But when you do it, it's because it's a piece of jewelry or statement, or it's a nice piece of thing you're wearing. You don't need it because you can just watch it your telephone that all of us have as well as 24 hours. So what is the problem? There's not a need for a watch any longer as there was in the old days. With the jewelry, it's different. The jewelry will stay forever because women always want to look better.
Exactly.
I always say there is 5 ways to make revenue. 5 strong ways to make revenue. Men's lust for women, very strong. Biology, very strong. Women's beauty comes a little bit towards number 1 also, but that's the second strongest when you want to make a business, where you get to people's money. It's a very strong driver. Third, kids. We spend any money we can on our kids. It's a fast way to get some money. Pets, very strong, because we spend completely insane money on our pets. They don't even know it or appreciate it because they have no idea, but we spend money nonstop. And the last, health. These 5 things, if you want to make a very, very strong business model, think in these 5 sectors, and where do jewelry come in? Men's lost. Best position at all. And the highest happiness feeling you can get by a woman is not by receiving shoes, very high, flowers, very high, perfumes, very high, clothes, very high, all these things, very high. But number 1 that brings the highest release of endorphin and happiness towards the woman is jewelry. And that is why the
Shiny
jewelry
thing.
industry, you can never stop that business, So the jewelry
Yeah.
industry will always just go like this, you understand? And the big brands are doing well at the top, the luxury brands, Cartier, Bulgari, Tiffany, Van Cleef, all these Winston, all these very nice brands. But where we did a masterpiece in Pandora was to be the only one who positioned ourselves in the mid-segment of being a brand. On a good day, we are Zara. On a little bad day, we H&M. But we are in that affordable jewelry section. But still, we give the women that don't have so much money the exact same release of endorphins when they receive the Pandora. So I'm very proud to be a businessman that only sells things that people don't need and only sell things that makes people happy. And that is, people, they can also be in the medical industry or in the weapon industry. Not really nice, it's not good energy. I know it's good money, but we are somebody here in the world who's not just thinking about the money. I enjoy the good energy that the Pandora brand has. I truly believe that there is an opening in the market for creating, and maybe I'm going to do it one day when I get more time, the first online brand made in jewelry in the mid segment, like I did with Pandora. Maybe it could be the resilient founder if I get enough traction that I could introduce a jewelry brand online. You understand? Where I say, here it is, the new product that everybody wants. And I have the
You can use the
audience.
affiliates to market it
Exactly.
everywhere.
It's in my business plan for the resilient founder that I want to be the first, because we never have really, the big brands are not, we have local players in every country, doing well, but we don't have a global player besides Pandora. Swarovski was on a journey trying to get to it, but they lost it on the products and the lack of quality. They lost the journey that they could have done, I think, Swarovski, because it is a good brand as well. But there is a lack in a hole in the jewelry industry there for that. There's thousands of talented brands out in the jewelry industry, and I always say I try to inspire and recommend people all around the world to do their own jewelry brands. And any question they might have, I can probably answer them, and I can help them a little bit in the right directions when it comes to connecting to production places in Asia or whatever it is. So if somebody's sitting out there dreaming about making a jewelry brand, then they can just go to my platform and I will tell them how to do it. And then they can start it. But mostly it's like influencers using their name and their brand to make jewelry and sell jewelry, and the jewelry industry will continue to grow as long as we get to be more people in the world. Every girl, I never heard of girls saying, I don't need jewelry, I have enough. That
Never,
sentence never, I never heard that.
never. Yeah,
No, I have enough. I don't want any more jewelry. I have enough. No, never gonna happen. Beautiful product, huh?
yeah. Amazing product.
Yeah,
Um,
amazing product. And the best one is Pandora.
yeah, exactly. And you build Pandora on physical retail and emotional branding. If you were starting today from the same like no fail mindset, would you stay in the luxury goods, or do you think that those high margins only now exist in the digital AI space?
No, I think that again, I think Pandora is not so easy to disrupt. We will not be touched by the AI, and all these other disruption, because it is a physical product that the women need to decorate themselves with. We can maybe find other ways to sell it. I always say, other platforms, other way of selling it, like people are doing now. But basically, I believe that the product and the industry will be very strong going forward. Therefore, it also hurts me a lot as a Pandora shareholder myself as well, that the Pandora share goes like this, because the Pandora share should just go like this, because we make so much money and we will continue to do that. But that leads back to Beck's management of the Pandora. So the market loses trust in the management for no reason, because if I would have been sitting as a CEO for Pandora for the last 20 years, what the share price would just go straight. But all these changes, they change the CEO all the time, and all. It's not good. Stability, trust, all this is not working, because the business model screams for stability and trust. Because Pandora will just continue to grow 5 to 10% a year going forward, slowly,
Yeah.
and that is going to continue in eternity in my world, because the women will not stop tomorrow to buy jewelry. That's not how it works. And Pandora's position is so enormous. It's like Louis Vuitton in bags. Yeah, you can't touch them.
Yeah.
They are playing in their own league.
You
So
created a league of their own.
that's exactly what they said about when I created that in Germany. That Jesper is not in the jewelry industry. He plays in another league. They always said to me, yeah. And they called what my company is not so nice, but they called it a sect. Because the people inside it, they were like blinded by this because it was so successful, and the people to the outside, they were only talking bad about it. And that's, again, if you create something that is so unique, then you have to expect a lot of resilience and a lot of resistance against you, where you then have to do resilience, because everybody will talk bad about me. If you want to be number one in something, you're alone. You have no friends. If you want to be number 2 or 3 or 4, you can go and have a drink with the other ones that are losing also. But if you want to be number one, they also all kind of fight against you and talk to you. And I learned that also in the jewelry industry. But I have a disease, whether it's a sports team or it's a court case or I want to be number one. I want to win. That is, and I'm willing to pay the price for being there. So it's always about, you have to really want to win, and it's easy to talk about, but very difficult to put out into life. And even the winners, we lose. Uh, that is what it is. Real Madrid, they don't win anything at the moment. I love it as a Barca fan, yeah, but that's how it is. Yeah.
Yeah. And I remember you actually admitted that you're actually an introvert, which is hard to believe now when I talk to you. And you play an extrovert to get things done. And I recognize myself in that statement when I watch you. Like, what is the biggest personal cost when you have been doing this for over 3 years?
Yeah, there's enormous personal cost. We have to be honest. It's not like candy story here. That is really because it has also been so extreme, the heights and the lows, In normal people's life, maybe it goes a little bit like this, And the highs and the lows has been so the biggest cost to this is it's not nice because it's the people around you that are suffering a lot. Because I'm also the son of somebody, I also have parents. Uh, and of course, they don't like to see people treating their son and their child like that because they are very proud of me, of course, and they think I'm a fantastic person doing fantastic, good things for everybody around me. That hurts a lot that you can see that they are suffering when you're being treated like this, whether it's number 10 bad newspaper article writing bad about you, and they say, why don't they ever sell all the good things you do, Jesper? Because you do 10 good things, and then they try to invent some bad thing, and that's the bad thing that they're writing about. But we know you. You are my son. You are our son. You never do anything bad to anybody. You're too good, they always say to everybody. Why are you so kind to everybody around your friends, your ex-wives, your everybody? You're too kind, they always say. Yeah, but that is my mentality. I'm a giver. And then, of course, my children. That is painful. Like when the tax authorities took us down and I had to move my 2 kids out of the schools because they get mobbed completely. Your family is just living from all the money of all of us, and all this. You're judging that your father's very bad, all these things. My son, he went into the business school. He never told anybody who his father was, even though they were sitting doing cases about me. And he has one friend there who knew it, and he said, "You fucking don't say it." And when I had to pick him up in the business school, he asked me to be 3 streets away. And he didn't want to walk with me in public. That's not nice, That hurts
Yeah.
inside your father's heart, your father's heart. And when you know it's not right, now I know I proved it, but that doesn't help you because they are suffering, these kids, yeah. So you pay a big price for having to change the world or win cases like this. And that is unfortunately the people around you that is being hurt the most in these situations. And that hurts me, of course, a lot when they are suffering in these situations. Yeah. So the personal prices are extremely high in these matters, but you're fighting for a bigger cause, but you can't explain it to a 12-year-old son that. He said, Dad, you can't come and pick me up because I don't want them to see me with you. And you know what he should have been? He should have been so proud of his father, because I did something
He'll
completely
understand.
insane. But they took
Maybe
that
not
away
now,
from
but
me.
he'll understand down the
Now
line.
he's 28. Now he's 28. He's a pilot. He's a very good guy now. He completely understands. He's my biggest supporter. He said, Dad, you're my hero. Yeah. I know I
Yeah.
understand everything. But when they're young, they don't understand it. Yeah. So that is the price you have to pay, and that you should, of course, think about. But I didn't call the tax authorities to make the tax case. I didn't ask the Pandora and the equity to cheat me. They made that decision. I'm only reacting to their decisions and fighting for my right. So and that's, of course, you understand later as a child. You understand that when you get older and you understand what your dad is doing, yeah, and what he's fighting for, But you have to prove every day, and I do that I'm responsible, that I'm a good person. I teach them about how to treat other people, why I do like I do, why I'm so giving, why I'm so generous, why I'm so caring, why I'm not fighting with anybody. Because people think very often that I'm a fighter, but I hate conflicts, I really hate conflicts. In my daily life, I never had conflicts. I never had a fault with my girlfriend. I don't do these things because I'm too wise for that. But when somebody is stepping on me, then they wake a beast inside me. And then I can fight, like crazy. But it's not something I'm looking for. My team, I'm very, motivating, caring, they get free responsibilities. And all the people who work for me all the time, they want to work for me again as soon as they can, yeah. Because I really motivate and inspire them, and it's a very nice guy in many matters, and fun to be around. Like to do events, parties, good energy. I think we are only here once, and I try to get the most out of it. And I'm very, very thankful for my life also, because I've seen and experienced everything you can ever imagine. My bucket list, there's nothing left. But that doesn't mean I don't want to do things again. You understand? Because now I know what is really good, yeah. But I have nothing left that I want to try. As a young man, you dream about cars, houses, boats, airplanes. I had it all. I had it all. And it was nice. It is nice to have it. You should drive for that, everybody. I say to people, as a young man or a young woman, you should go for your dreams and fulfill them. Uh, that should be a strong motivation for you as well. And it was for me always. I was very motivated by money and getting my Porsche and getting these things and yeah, yeah. I never, I missed the Koenigsegg, but up till there, I had them all. So that's
Honestly,
and I have
but
these funny five sayings that you want a nice car, you want a nice house, maybe you want a summer house in Saint Tropez or Marbella or Mallorca. You want a big villa, and after that, you want a 30-meter yacht. After the 30-meter yacht, you want to have your own airplane. After the first, and then we start really to separate the boys from the girls. And if you still want to run further, you buy yourself a football club. So there's no limits to. And I've done all these things. I've been there, but then my life took another turn, and maybe I did even more fantastic things on the second part of my journey by winning these impossible court cases and solving the cheat against me in the Pandora case. And now maybe, so my companies that I would not have made another jewelry company if it hadn't been for the tax authorities or Pandora didn't pay me. I would have done something else in my life. But that was the fast way for me to get to cash so I could pay for the things, because I know this business, I know this brand. So that was a fast way for me to go for it. But maybe now through all this, I came to the right place with my new movement that is global, yeah, to make Resilient Founder to the most important business movement in the world. Uh, and maybe that will be my journey for the next 30 years. I hope so, because I would really enjoy it to do it, to share my story and the courage and the inspiration. Because to do business, I know how to do that. But why don't I try to inspire people? And everybody has their own business. I can just give you inspiration and mindset and make you believe a little bit more into it that you actually think you are. And that's why I say I don't want to have all these people who never did anything to teach people that. I want to have real guys doing that. And it's the first time ever that a top 100 global brand founder opened his playbook. See, this is how the really big boys are doing it, at the last level, you know. It's not just a little, it's every person on this planet almost who know this brand. And that is the biggest achievement I did in my life.
that's amazing. I want to go back to, you mentioned previously that um, basically you built three major brands in the jewelry industry. So if
Yeah.
you were forbidden from ever working in the jewelry industry again, which industry do you think is currently ripe for the Jesper Nielsen treatment?
Yeah, I love that question. I think that I can tell you that the company that I would like to work in, if it's not Pandora or in the jewelry industry, that is sport, no doubt. I love
Ford?
sport. Sport.
Sport.
Yeah, I love sport. I love this. This where you can win or lose. You know what I mean? I like this. When you do a normal business, you don't know if you were good or bad. But if you are in sport, Wednesday and weekend, you get a result. And that motivates me, a person like me, a lot. You understand? That
And there's a
you
lot of
are
moving
really,
parts behind the scenes.
yeah, it's really exciting. I love the sports teams. I love it because it's so intense. You go to the games, you win or you lose. And I want the most, of course. But because I was willing to invest in the sports teams and motivate them as well, and I love that, and I love the business around the sports, all these emotions, the energy in an arena. Like you have in the arena in Zagreb, or I was there. I think it's 15,000 people that fits in, yeah. And I was there for I think it was it a World Cup final? No, it was a European Championship final or something like that. Once where you play was when the time when the Balic was playing, and and they played France with Karabatic and all these, and the atmosphere in a place like this, that is insane, yeah. The energy of so many people together, or when my football team ran on the pitch with 30,000 people playing that we had Jump with Van Halen as our intros running, you get like these goosebumps, you know, because it's 30,000 people together with the same energy, 11 guys fighting till the blood goes to all the sides, you know, hoping to win. I miss that in the sport. So the second I finish this one and win my last court case here, I will go into sport right away.
That's amazing.
There's no doubt. That I go straight into to football and handball again. I miss that.
Are you going to your old team, or
Yeah.
are you going for something new?
No, I take my old team back right away. They're owned by Americans right now. That's very painful to see. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it must
But
be.
the good thing about American ownership is that they're willing to pay because for them it's not about emotions, it's about money. So they want to sell.
Yeah,
So
you're
there's
gonna
a good
be the
thing.
guy to sell it too.
Yeah, they will sell. I talked to
And
them sometime. Actually, just before I came here, I was texting with them. They were asking, how's my court case going?
they're rooting for you too.
Yeah. Yeah. Because then they have sold their football club the next day. Yeah.
Yeah, and um, I have one more question for you.
Come on.
Is what is the one piece of advice you would give to entrepreneurs who are listening to this?
Yeah. Entrepreneurs, first of all, you are the heroes of this world. And you have chosen a path that will give you the most richful life you can ever imagine. You also have put yourself in the category of the people who have the biggest chance in their life to be financially independent. 77% of the richest people in this world, they're doing exactly what you're doing today. They're making their own businesses. So being an entrepreneur is a mission in life, and dream big about it, because you have, sitting here today, a realistic chance to decide your own destiny. And that means that you have a chance to be not the richest man in your city, not the richest man in your country, not the richest man in the world. You can be the richest man ever if you want. There is no limits to it. But one thing is important on that journey. That is, you have to do it with dignity, and you have to do it without cheating anybody at all. You have to do it the right way, because I promise you that you will be punished if you don't follow the straight path. So no criminal acts, no tax cheating, don't do anything wrong. Then better grow slower, but do it right. Take no shortcuts. But the path that you choose is the most profitable and most life-changing path you could ever imagine. Me, as an example, I've seen the whole world. I have done everything you can imagine on this planet on my journey, and I'm very thankful for that. But the most important decision was the decision when I choose to be an entrepreneur. And don't take advices from people who never did it. I have never seen a good football trainer who was not a good football player himself before. So take advices from the people who really knows about these things. But to make it clear to our entrepreneurs, you are our future. You are the ones that's going to change this world. You are going to make this into a better place. And me, as the resilient founder, I will hold you up to keeping the moral, sticking to agreements, and doing things the right way. Because that's also a dream that I have, that, you know, that I come out of the resilient founder school, so I don't cheat. Can you imagine that if I one day get that implemented into the people's consciousness, that no, I'm trained by the resilient founder. So we don't cheat. And if you cheat, you're going to get punished by the resilient founder and their team if you do bad agreements or you don't follow. Because now I have thousands of people writing me how they've been cheated all around the world. And I know exactly what happens all the time. Yeah. And that's what I said in one of my reels. You can't do a good deal with a bad person. Whether you make the best deal, you think he gives you a nice profit. If he's a bad guy, don't do it. Don't see how he acts towards his employees. See how he acts towards the. Take him out for a dinner. See how he talks to the waiters. You know, is this an asshole or is this a nice guy? You know, and I have make a decision in my life. I will only in the future do business with decent guys. No shit in the fan with that. I don't want it. That was a good one to
Absolutely.
stop.
Jesper, you have amazing advice. And
Yeah, yeah. You have to give them to the world now. Yeah,
yeah,
but I
and
also took some bullet holes for them, Victor. Yeah, I have some
well,
bullet holes.
I love the saying, diamonds are made under pressure, and you've been under a lot of pressure, what I can see.
Oh, I love that one. I'm gonna write that one. Diamonds, and you're right. Diamonds are made by squeezed in the rock. You're right.
Yeah, diamonds are made under pressure, under huge pressure.
That's a good one. That's the one would be one of my sayings in the future. Because I had a little bit pressure in my life, you know, when the whole world trying to kill you.
Just a little
And
bit.
that I haven't told this, but it will be revealed in the Netflix that actually Pandora did try to kill me twice in 2015, literally. So I had the small things taken out of the cars twice
Yeah,
because somebody wants to get rid of me. That's what it is. But that will be revealed in the Netflix.
yeah. We're gonna
Crazy.
cut that part out of
Yeah.
this one. And
Yeah. Do that. But send it to me. I'm running out of battery here also now.
okay, Jesper,
Let's
thank
stay
you
in
for your
touch.
time, and I'm sure we're gonna speak very soon.
Yeah, we
Um,
continue and see if we can do something for each other, Victor. Yeah.